Isabel is this very wonderful student I have. You know, just so you all know that Isabel and I wrote a book that was published, and I think 3 years ago, called From Darkness into Light. And it's a book of letters that we wrote each other. And I think it's really an incredible book. It's a very inspiring book of the growth of somebody who was living in a very difficult circumstance and how this person has really grown in her life to become an amazing person doing what she's doing in her life. But if you ever want to read it, you can get it from Amazon. It's called From Darkness to Light, and I recommend it. It's incredibly powerful letters that were written between myself and this very wonderful young lady who was in very difficult straits, and how it all kind of worked out. And today she's doing as well as it's possible to be doing for somebody at her age. So I just wanted to mention that. It's a very interesting book. And I think it would inspire people if they ever read it. It's called From Darkness into Light. Okay, so we'll have a meditation class. And if anyone has questions after the class, I will be happy to try and answer them. Question I would like to ask.
Could you talk about oneness, Stuart? I'm wondering where oneness, concept of oneness comes into.
Yeah, before I talk about that, Skanda, next time in class, be sure that you're lighted. I can barely see you. It's so dark where you are. So next time in class, be sure that you're lighted better so I can see your face, okay? Not much we can do about it now. You want me to oneness? I mean, look, the point of reference for any kind of oneness exists within oneself, because the first person that we have to create harmony and balance with is ourselves. We have to unify all the discordant elements that exist inside us. We have to create harmony, we have to create balance, we have to open our heart, and we have to, truly work towards, through deep surrender, a state of nothingness inside. Because as long as we're full of us, we're going to be fragmented. There's going to be many different aspects of us, that are constantly in conflict with each other, that are creating tension, blocks, insecurities inside, all kinds of rightness, and, I know better, and my ego, and me versus you, et cetera, et cetera. So we got to create harmony and balance within ourselves. And again, how do you do that? It's what I talk about all the time. It's the development of a very strong chakra system. And oneness with everything really means, that we are free of us. It means please try and sit still. We're no longer, running our lives based on ego, based on what we think is right or wrong, how we know better, we can sit in judgment of other people. We're open inside to receive the energy of God, the energy of spirit. And in order to receive that energy, there has to be a state of nothingness inside a human being. The freer we are of ourselves, the more we become one with everything in the universe. Because then higher energy, God, whatever you want to call that, we're open enough to receive it. We can allow it to flow through us. We allow it to really guide us. We allow it to really determine, much of how we live our lives. And there's a certain freedom in that, which has to do with, not being in a conflicted state of ego and mind and tension and insecurity, et cetera, et cetera. So a state of oneness really depends upon how free we are of ourselves. You know, how open we are inside. Is our heart open? Do we live with compassion? Do we live with love? Or is our life a consistent battle of me versus them, or me versus me? You know, a constant conflict of energy going on inside that keeps God or spirit from ever really, you know, nurturing us and coming through us as human beings. So, I mean, that really, you know, is what oneness is all about. Oneness is, first of all, freedom from oneself. And you attain a state, or, you know, nobody is completely one, but you get closer and closer to it. The stronger your chakra system, the more open you are inside, the more energy of God you can receive. You know, the less you are of yourself and the more you are of higher energy in the universe. That creates a state of oneness. And then we look out at the world and we don't see separation between us and what exists in life. We recognize that what we see in life is a mirror image of ourselves. That in itself is a step towards a kind of oneness, to look out at the world and not think that we are in conflict with the world, but to see the world as a teacher, as really being a reflection of us, telling us what we have to learn.
It's 2 o'clock.
How we have to grow in life. I mean, all of this, you know, is just, you know, elements that enable us to attain a state of grace inside us, which is a oneness with higher energy in the universe. And that's, you know, I mean, it really isn't more complicated than that. And it depends upon the depth of work that we do on ourselves. You know, how open we are inside. Are we living, you know, is our life determined by what we think, what's in our heads, what's in our ego, what we think is right about the world in opposition to everybody else? Or are we centered and balanced inside? Is our heart open? You know, are we receiving spiritual energy? Is that guiding our life? And does that allow us to see the world as not an enemy, but a teacher? And that everything in life is a manifestation of God? That in itself also creates oneness. You know, we're no longer separate from what we see in the world. So we, instead of living and judging the world, we live with compassion, we live with love, we live with a very deep sense of surrender inside ourselves that allows higher energy, you know, to manifest all around us. Not it's manifesting anyway, but we become conscious of it and we can embrace it, open to it, and let it teach us, let it guide us through our lives. That's oneness. And what tells us whether or not we have oneness is life itself. That really determines how we see the world, determines whether we are one with life, one with God, and free of all that nonsense that goes, you know, around in the brain about what's right, what's wrong in life, what's this in life. I'm very happy to say I gave that up years ago, that thing in my brain that knew better than the world. And it was a major step in my own spiritual growth and gave me the capacity to look out at the world and recognize, hey, what I see is my own reality. What I see is something teaching me how to get closer to God, how to get free of that reality. So there's no separation between any of us and life. So we can embrace it, open to it, let it teach us. I mean, this is not easy to do. It takes a lot of work on oneself, a lot of patience, a lot of time. But it's certainly worth, you know, doing, because, you know, it just completely transforms the way we see the world. And the best thing it does, it allows us to live at peace with ourselves. We can master our tension. We can master all the things that are creating anxiety and fear inside us. And we're no longer better than anyone else. You know, we just are. You know, we are. One ingredient in this incredibly delicious soup called life. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? I mean, it took me a long time to get strong enough in myself to just simply come to the realization that everything on this planet is a manifestation of God. Everything. The things I like, the things I don't like, the things I feel right about, wrong about, and all that nonsense that goes on in the brain. It's all a manifestation of God, everything. I mean, this is in every religion, they talk about this, you know? And our work is to really build a system inside that can embrace this. We are guests in God's world. That's it. We're guests here. And we have to learn how to live here with dignity, with love, with understanding. I mean, you know, look, this is in many senses an ideal state of being. And most people on this planet at this point in their evolution are not doing deep work on themselves. So there's always going to be a lot of craziness in the world, because there's going to always be a lot of unconsciousness in the world. But our job is not to get swept away in that. It's to just recognize this is just another way that we're being taught how to grow and how to get closer to God. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Stuart?
Yes.
I'm finding it challenging at times to feel the state of connection that I feel in this moment throughout my day. Do you have any practical tools?
Yes. Your day is telling you how deeply you need to work on yourself, how you need to come back and do deep meditation, deep inner work. You know, that's what your day is telling you. So if you listen to your day, it's not, you know, something that is against you. It's teaching you about you. And you got to finally let go of this image you have of yourself about how you should be, instead of saying, this is how I am. Okay, I have to accept how I am, and I've got to work on myself. And my day is telling me that, how I am. And you have something, since I've known you, you've had that thing, you know, I should be like this, but I'm not. No, you shouldn't be. You are what you are. And finally, Tonya, accept it and use it as a measuring spoon that you can open to your day and let your day teach you what you have to do to grow. You understand? Instead of having this thing in your brain, I should be that way. Well, you're not that way. You are what you are. Just open to it and accept it, you know? And you'll grow so fast if you just do that simple little thing. And I promise you this, there'll always be something in your day that will remind you that you got to go back and do deep meditation. always. You need to have it. So don't have something in your brain thinking that you got to be perfect. Because you don't have to be perfect. You just have to listen to what the lessons that your day's teaching you and then use them to grow. And not have something in your brain, well, I should be that way, but I'm not. You are what you are. I am what I am. We all have things wrong with us. You understand? If people want to analyze me, they can find 5,000 things wrong with me. You know? I mean it. I used to hear people say, well, he's about Rudy, he's fat, he's this, he's that, he eats meat. You know, I used to hear all this stuff all the time. And I would look at him and I would see just light coming out of him and energy and shakti. And a person was giving me, and I heard, well, how could he be my guru? He's fat, he's this, he's that, you know? He's Jewish, I used to hear too. You know, how could he be my guru? You know, I used to hear all this stuff, you know, it was ridiculous. And I would say, what? You know, I would look at him and see energy, light, love, person who gave me my life. You know, we all can find something wrong with other people. And that gets into the realm of, honestly, it's just stupidity. It's finding excuses not to open and allow life to be your teacher. So, you know, we need to grow, you know, and we need to accept exactly who we are. We have to accept exactly who we are and say, okay, from this point, I can move on and not have some delusion in the brain about the way we're supposed to be. Who cares, you know? Because then you limit yourself, because who knows, you think you're supposed to be there and you can be here, you know? You have to open and grow and let life become creative for you, you know? It doesn't take a great genius to find fault in this world. It really doesn't. It takes an amazing person to learn from the things that are wrong in this world and to use them to grow every day of their life. That takes extraordinary nobility of soul, not to be able to point out what's wrong, because there's so much wrong here. There's so much that's stupid here, unconscious, and people, the way they function. And it doesn't take a genius to pick it out, the negative things in the world. It takes an amazing person to transform all of that stuff into life-giving energy. That takes nobility of soul. I hope this is clear, you know, because this is all so important, this stuff. And it always comes back to each and every one of us and how we really apply the things that life is teaching us to ourselves, to our inner life. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Stuart, what about discernment?
What about it?
No, versus judgment, like no judgment, but discern, like, I don't know, you like somebody's maybe in a certain way, which drains.
Well, but you know, look, Skanda, if you build the kind of consciousness, you know, I'm talking about, you'll have no problem making choices about people you want to be around, people whose energy you want to take into yourself. You know, it becomes just an organic process that happens inside you. You'll be able to discern very clearly, not through your brain, but through some internal, it's like an organic thing that enables you to sense the vibration that other people are giving and what they're giving. And then you make decisions about your life based on that. But if you grow inside and approach these things from an organic place inside yourself, you have no trouble making choices, in life and discerning. If you try to discern through your own ego, and you're going to wind up in a lot of trouble. I mean it. But if it comes from, there's like a voice inside you, that tells you, yes, no, it's really God talking inside you and telling you how to make choices. And you listen to that voice. But you need an inner life that's strong enough to be able to allow that voice to manifest and guide you in your life every day, to make choices. Does anyone else have a question I would like to ask? I hope all this, this is a lot today, and I hope it's clear. I hope you all can use all of this to benefit your daily life and to grow. And I know it certainly rings bells in me, because I tell you all the time, this is not Stuart talking. This is an energy that comes through that talks. And in order for this to work, I have to get out of the way. I have to really attain some kind of a state of nothingness in myself. And that's part of the spiritual evolution. That's part of that becoming one with God, being able to get out of the way and let this higher energy guide one. So please, everyone, there'll be a class on Sunday, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. And, God bless you all. Thank you for being here. And thank you for participating in this.
Thank you, Stuart.
God bless you. Thank you.
God bless you. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing everybody on Sunday. Bless you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.